Accept your death.
182 and a half days. 4,380 hours. 262,800 minutes.
That's a lot of minutes.
That's how long we've been keeping this podcast going every Sunday for. Isn't that crazy? We haven't missed a single week. It's been fantastic. It's been a joy. And with all those days and all those hours and all those minutes, I would like to introduce our special guest in under 30 seconds. Go. JimmyPotatoTV. You know him. If you watch YouTube shorts, you've probably seen him on there, ranking characters from worst to best. If you're on TikTok, you've probably seen him on there, ranking boss battles first to best. I am super stoked to have my friend and colleague here, JimmyPotatoTV. Welcome to the podcast, Jimmy.
Hey, thanks. I feel welcomed. That was a great intro. Yes.
That was a great intro. Very energetic. Very energetic.
Yeah, man. I'm feeling the love. Thank you so much. I love the podcast. I love everything you guys are doing with it. And that is incredible that you guys haven't missed a week yet. And I think you just said like your which actual episode number is it now?
26?
26. See,
26.
That's half a year.
That's half a year. Yeah. Oh, good math there. 6 months.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh.
I was,
I did miss the one episode, right?
Oh, thanks.
Blue had to sub in for me, but you kept it going. So Dink's the true hero here.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, so more. I do a little bit of Mortal Kombat related stuff, and if anybody's kind of watched your stream too live, I pop into the chat and talk about how much I love the game and all the characters a lot.
Right.
So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, Jimmy. And as our guest here, as we go into it, we're not going to miss this segment. We never miss this segment, but we're going to go through comments. But we wanted to let you read them out in whatever order you please, and then give your thoughts on it. So whenever you're ready, I'm waiting for a response.
All right, so this one is from This Game Is Broken. Question for the next pod: considering we got 3 characters at the start of the new expansion, how do you feel about them stretching out the last 3 characters for the next year with no info on any additional content? So I believe This Game Is Broken is kind of talking about, we know the next 3 DLC characters are guest characters, and we don't even know, I think, when the Scream guy comes out yet. I don't think that they've announced a date yet, right?
No, I assumed it was going to be around Halloween, but that doesn't seem
I bet we'll get a trailer around Halloween, right? Instead of the character.
Week.
That is this week.
Yeah, it'll probably be sometime this week. And they always, they say, hey, they have an announcement of an announcement, right?
That's right. Yeah, you get the announcement trailer for the announcement, and then you get the announcement.
And then,
right.
And then,
so we should get an announcement for that announcement tomorrow.
Right. We'll get the we'll get some sort of acknowledgement sometime this week that'll set a timetable when to expect the trailer, the combat cast. Pretty common.
How do I feel about it? It's, I don't know if it's concerning at this point, because I thought I had read that Ed had said that there were going to be more cameos and stuff. Maybe they don't have a solid timeline on releases, but yeah, stretching 3 characters over 12 months when we're used to, in the first year, we're used to something every month or every month and a little bit where they alternated cameo, main character, cameo, main character. I don't think it's cause for concern yet, but I if they don't announce something else soon, then I could see maybe they stop supporting it as long as they initially were saying they were gonna.
It would be interesting because they did put out like that big like year 2 trailer thing at, what was it, Comic-Con or something, when it was like year 2 and announcing like this whole year. So like, although I will say that I don't believe there's been anything official that's saying that that's how they plan to release it. Just hypothetical, if they did do that, I think that's way too spread out. But like, if that's their support,
if you want to keep hype, like that's really spread out.
I think there's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle, because we were getting stuff so often that as soon as you start kind of like adjusting to the game's meta, now here's Farah, and now we got to start all over again. Hey, look, something's all bugged or like whatever, and then we wait weeks for a patch, whether desync or what's happening like in the game and stuff like that. Then as soon as all that settles down, okay, now here's this, like, you know, sort of thing. Now Homelander's here is like, Jesus Christ, just let me breathe. Oh my God. Like,
It might have been a little
I don't
different
know.
if they didn't break their game every time they released a patch, though, too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Remember Injustice 2, it was like every single month, right?
Yeah.
From those first fighter packs, whatever, like right when it released, and the next month it was Red Hood, and then the month right after that was Sub-Zero.
Fun little game for anybody watching. You go back and check out the patch notes and count how many times the word fixed shows up.
Oh,
yeah.
Take a shot every time you see the word fixed.
You will die.
You will die.
Next comment.
Next
Michael
comment.
Michael Leary videos says Reiko just needs a rework for sure. It's not bad that a grappler has a good projectile, but the short recovery of his shurikens encourages lazy play, and it is boring to fight against and use. This is evidenced by all the people online that almost exclusively spam the shurikens. NRS should maybe add a few frames of recovery to them, but then give him some new short-range tools. Maybe an overhead command grab that hits crouching opponents to compensate, and maybe a slower mid-spear throw.
No, all because you don't want to hold that projectile, huh? You want to do all that to him just because of his projectile? That one.
You know what I think? The strength of that projectile isn't the recovery. It's multi-hitting.
Yeah, it's shredding things,
Yep.
hitting cameos and characters, and
That's the problem
that's
with it.
The EX one, right, has the mids in it, and it goes really high. Like,
Yeah, you
you try
can't-
to like
there's
jump over
characters that
those,
can't
your toes
jump,
get
yeah.
clipped all the time. Yep.
Mhm. Takes
Very
up
high,
a lot
like
of
Lena
screen.
size, and very low.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if giving him a command grab, like, so he always
I-
has
I
an
like-
option to
it's
grab you. Hmm.
you know, like how Cheetah had an Injustice, right, where you have to choose. It's kind of like, if are they going to be trying to duck the grab? If so, it's like works
Do
a
the other.
Boros grab, but Cheetah had a grab like that, right? But if they're actually like blocking, then granted that was like a down to block, back to block game, so you could actually just duck without having to hold the block button. Mortal Kombat works differently.
Michael wants the character to be a true grapple character, and the game just doesn't really have that archetype.
right.
I absolutely agree with that sentiment. I feel like he does feel like a little bit of dry, kind of like a jack of all trades, but kind of not. And he's got like this weird, like blind spots in his range. Like his range is like really, really good, and then like he's got like just the most stubby like sorts of things going on.
Weird
but I don't
plus
know. He
frames
doesn't
and
have much of
knockdowns.
a. What Dink has an opinion about Reiko.
You know what I think? I think if they made, because if I could be spreading misinformation here, but I'm going to try not to. I believe if you meter burn his command grab, it makes it a mid but costs 2 bars, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So if you made that 1 bar and took away his shurikens and replaced that with like Shao Kahn's spear from MK11, like a spear toss, which is just a single hitting projectile, I think that would make the character a lot more interesting. I mean, you'd still have the command grab. You'd be kind of nerfing his projectile, but not like he still has something. It's a little slower, but maybe it's a mid at certain ranges or something, similar to how the spear worked in MK11. And then just he'd
What
have
if
more
they
focus
did
on
like the way
grappling.
that approached Natara? Like, and they just said, F it, let's let it do it meterlessly. Or just like 1 bar, but you get like the Shujinko launch. You don't need the cameo to do it. And thinking, you know, it introduced a whole new cameo meta for him.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it's not just kind of anchored on command grab combos. Then they adjust other things to compensate, like they did with Tanya and things like that. I don't know. What about that? They just let him go ham. Okay, you get grabbed, you know, high command grab. It's a little meterless launcher.
Yeah, I mean that could work, maybe potentially. I don't know. I just feel like he needs to be more of a grappler and less of a do everything mediocrely kind of a thing.
The NRS special right now. They have too many characters where they couldn't commit fully to, hey, this character is going to be this archetype, and then
Right.
and let them have weaknesses.
Right.
I could talk about that for a really long time, but
He's the only character in the game that has the ability to do a mid command grab, right? Which makes him the de facto sort of like, I'm using finger quotes, grappler.
unquote,
I mean,
yeah.
a command grab is not a grappler make, but I don't know.
It's
why
a
they
good
didn't give us
projectile.
Anything like that in this game.
It's a pretty good. It's a good projectile though. But lazy. You're playing lazy. I don't know. I hate that word. I hate that terminology.
I agree.
I understand
like
what he's
spam
trying to
either.
say. Yeah, I don't like spam either. I know what he's trying to say there though. So good comment that it brings up some good points about the character and the character design. I think so. Good comment.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
Last one.
Last one here. This might need some context. So, Hatyr and I.
It does, because I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, so Hatyr and I did a set where we didn't repeat any characters. We just or cameos.
I didn't get to see that.
And then in the comments I asked if we did a set where you chose the pairing for us, what pairing would you pick? So that's where this comment comes from resident of the Bonehawk Discord.
Wallabear Khan 145. Gearus and Janet.
I don't think I've ever seen that pairing before, and I have no idea what it does. Like, I went into practice mode with it, and I was like trying to like understand a little bit. I mean, if you can get like Gento out in the corner, you just like constant mix with Gearus with that overhead and low and keeping it safe.
And he can spend 2 bars for his own clone thing. Can you imagine having his clone plus Gento out while he's out moving about too? That would be that'd be sick.
I would love to see that back shots combo with Gentos shoved in there somehow.
Think about like we're just they get frozen and she's punching away and she's doing the splits while he's launching them, and then she punches them on the way down and he's doing like who knows how that stuff works. That could be kind of like cool. I would never play that. No way.
It's a little bit complicated, but it's a funny.
Someone out there master that
for me.
Yeah,
master that and make the videos. I'll watch.
I'll also watch. I don't think I've seen it ever, but now I kind of just want to play around with it just to do silly stuff like that.
Well, don't dare him to make it. No. He will.
He will.
I can't wait.
He will, 100%. So thanks everyone for the comments. As always this week, that's how we like to start things off. I want to make sure that we are engaging with our audience. It's important.
That's a great segment. I love that you guys do that.
Yeah, it's I love that. It just shows that people are, paying attention and listening, and it's good for us too to kind of gauge like how far in people are listening to. Someone comments on something, we're like, wow, we talked about that like the 50-minute mark, so people are really getting through the podcast. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's good. So my good friend Jimmy and I go back. What are we going here?
Back.
Was it Canada Cup 2011?
2011. I looked it up today.
You looked it up today. My God.
Because MK9 came out in 2011.
That's right. Spring or early summer. No, it was spring. I'm pretty sure it was spring. Yeah. Because I remember watching Evo and I was like, man, I didn't even know they did this kind of thing. I want to go there. Mm-hmm. I want to do that. And then I ended up going my first tournament in September. And then I got on stream. I did really well. And I think that's when, shortly after that was when you DM'd me on TYM, I think.
You went to Devastation.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this good looking guy with the name? His name's Shujinkydink.
It is. It is. Still is, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I remember you just messaging me and saying like, hey, I'm not sure if you've heard of it or not, but would you be interested in coming to Canada Cup and playing some Mortal Kombat? And I don't know, like, at that time, were you like the Mortal Kombat guy in that scene, or like what's?
I was like trying to see if people wanted to make a scene, because like you, I love Mortal Kombat my whole life, and then saw Evo, and this new game was out, and I was absolutely loving MK9. I was just, everything about it was so good. And then saw the tournament thing. I was like, oh my God, people take this seriously just like me. So like, who else is doing this in my city? I live in fair-sized city in Canada. There's more than a million people, so it should be other people, right?
Right.
Well, I was wrong. This is like a Street Fighter, real big back then in this scene. So I actually ended up meeting the Canada Cup guys and kind of getting to know them and stuff through. And they knew I love Mortal Kombat. I was like, well, can we do Mortal Kombat at a tournament? Can we do this? Can we do that? And they're like, no. So I started playing Street Fighter just to get there and get to know them and see how things were done, and kind of learn how do I build a scene? How do I do this? And all awesome guys, and I still talk to a couple of them to this day, and some not so awesome guys as well. So the Canada Cup's not really around like it was back then, but
right.
But yeah, that was the thing. I was like, man, I want to build it. Like, who could play? Who could come to this? If they put Mortal Kombat in Canada Cup, who's gonna play it? Who's gonna come play it? So that was I reached out to you because I saw that you were Canadian and seen your name around a little bit. So
Yeah, and then I showed up, and that's when I kind of started my
Yes.
little rivalry with a fairly well-known pro player.
Watching that too. I forgot that he beat you. So Jaywong beat Dink at the first Canada Cup for Mortal Kombat 9. But then a year later, there was redemption.
There was that rematch, and I came back and I won, and I popped off something fierce.
There was a
What was the
babality
matchup?
involved.
What was the matchup?
It was Raiden. Jaywong played Raiden the whole set, and I switched between Quan, Scarlet. There was another character I used too, but I can't remember.
Did you play Liu Kang or Baraka? I couldn't remember.
Baraka?
I think Baraka. I think I played some Baraka.
Every now and then Baraka would come out.
Yeah, every now and then. He wasn't a
I
great
thought you
character.
said you main Baraka in MK9.
I started maining Baraka in MK9, and they nerfed him 3 times
Yeah.
within like the first month and a half, and I was like, okay, this character isn't playable. So then I switched to Shang Tsung, and then I lost a mirror match, a 1st to 10 against Lord of the Fly, and I was like, okay, I'm not playing this character. I'm clearly not very good. And then that's when I saw Tom Brady, who actually came out with the Rune Trap, and I was like, that's broken. I'm using that. And then my journey with Quan began and has never ended. Still to this day, he's my little bald buddy, you know.
It's still broken too, Rune Trap. Oh, we never see it again.
Yeah, it's still broken. Still in the game, still usable, still broken. I think
Would you rather have Rune Trap in the new game or Trance? If you could only choose one. And you had to get rid of you don't have to spend 2 bars on that low tongue thing anymore because it doesn't exist. So that's what you're trading for either one of those. Which would it be? Or you can keep the tongue.
With how quickly you build meter in MK1, I feel like the Rune Trap would be absolutely busted. Like,
Yeah, without
dude,
Trance.
that'd be
You needed Trance and MK9 to help you build the meter to really set up
Exactly.
Rune Trap properly.
Dude, you see all that like in every Dink matchup, right? Playing MKX, but you think of Rune Trap first.
It's true. It's true. Good old Rune Trap. I miss it, as broken as it was. But I mean, Quan Chi in that game was like the worst character in the game with no meter and the best character in the game with meter. So, which put him, in my opinion, somewhere right in the mid
I think
tiers.
So, too. Yep.
So then,
Really, yeah, he was all right.
from there, Jimmy and I traveled North America together, went to all sorts of places after our friendship first became, and then you joined STB, and then we went to Atlanta. We went to a road trip down to Seattle, Atlanta, all over the place. Did you travel at all for MKX? I don't remember.
MKX, no.
Yeah, I don't.
No. But Injustice, yes.
Right, I do remember that. Was that when you took a bus to Ontario?
One of the times. Yeah.
Right,
It took a 3-day bus ride.
That's insane.
To Toronto. I also did Chicago for the tournament before it was called Combo Breaker. It was called UFGT, or it was called Guts. What the hell was it called?
I'm pretty sure
it was run by Keats.
GT, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was UFGT.
Yeah, and it was run by Keats, and it was the year before it turned into Combo Breaker, I think, and then Keats was done with it, and I think Rick took over. He was working with Keats before. I'm not too sure that whole side of it, but it was one of the best tournaments I'd ever been to, and one of the best run things that I'd ever been to. And I remember you really wanted to be at that one too, but you couldn't because we had other STB that were there, like Charlie Murphy was there, and
Right.
who else did we have? I remember standing on a chair trying to see over to see some crazy shit going on. I can't remember, but it was like, and Injustice was like, it was the new, right? So
Yeah.
there was new broken and there was new fun, and I remember feeling really good. I played Green Arrow, and this is a little tangent, but I just got to tell it right now because I'm still salty about it this many years
I was
later.
just going to ask what character you played. I was waiting.
Green Arrow, yeah.
Because there you go.
So Green Arrow, and this is early in the days when NRS community is trying to figure out fighting games too, right? Because down one arrow was broken for people. They just couldn't understand what do I do about down one arrow. I wrote this whole test your might thread on it and everything, and blah blah blah, and then. So I'm in the tournament and I'm feeling good, and I know I'm going to get out of my pool for sure. The only thing I had to worry about was GGA Han because he played Black Adam. And Black Adam before, I think he did get nerfed in Injustice eventually. And he eliminated me from the pool. And I didn't want to travel after that.
Right.
Because I was like, then I started seeing, man, like this costs so much money. Yeah, I'm having fun, but after that, I didn't travel for MKX, but they ended up having some tournaments here locally, and I got like second. I got second in an MKX one. I actually won a few $100, so I did okay.
Nice. That's awesome.
Who'd you play in MKX?
Katana.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're a Katana main. Katana and MK9 as well, right?
You know, funnily enough, the last time she was fun to play was MKX, and Katana all the way in MK9.
Yeah. Freaking
After they nerfed Highborn, I'll never forgive you, Paulo. MK11.
rip Highborn. That was a weird. I mean, that game in general is weird, but
I played that variation.
I know
as well.
I love that move.
And I think in to skip ahead a little bit, in MK11 was kind of like where you two kind of started to interact as like the Scarlet Bros, right?
Yeah, I think we chatted a little bit.
Yeah, like leading up to that, because before it came out was the whole summit thing, right? And I remember you streaming and, you donate $10 and Jimmy's on there doing all the logistics, right? I still have that MK
right.
logo necklace thing or whatever that you mailed to me.
When we were trying to get you into that thing. Oh my God, I put so much work into that shit. And then I had to mail everything out after too, because all this summit merch came to my house. I was like, holy shit.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was incredible.
I remember getting DMs from like Tweety and KP and like all these guys that were like, I can't believe that you got to like one place of qualifying with that without being like a technical pro player at this game. Yeah, like just being
those
like
guys dumped money into it, right? Like you didn't have thousands of dollars to dump into it like these guys did. Man, I hated that format.
It's a stupid format. It's a stupid format, but it just goes to show the support that we have around here, right?
Yes.
Like people wanted to see me in there, and I was doing my best to get in there. And I made a diss track. I think I did a kickflip. Like I think I did a backflip on my trampoline at one point. Like,
that was a really good way for me to see more of the Bonehawk side of stuff, because that was usually more you did that, and then we kind of had STB, and I was more we would chat through that and our personal relationship. But it was awesome for me to see that, man, Dinky's got this whole little group of people that are they're all awesome too, which I shouldn't have ever doubted too. So that was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Community stuff like that is always good to kind of get together. So it was.
I had all their addresses too, which I did abruptly burn and get rid of all that information. So
wow,
if I was
like
evil, man,
like an Inspector Gadget episode or something.
If I was
Mission
evil,
Impossible, self-destruct.
That's actually hilarious.
But yeah, I played Scarlet all the stress tests and betas leading up to it, but I was like convinced I wanted to play somebody new at launch, so I played mostly Frost and Katana. So I played a bunch of Highborn Katana. Dabbled with Scarlet like a little bit on the side, but it wasn't until Jimmy's video that he did on your channel, like his guide, and I was like, maybe I should like go back to her, right? I remember there was a couple frame traps you pointed out that I just didn't know about like before, like in the stress test and beta, even if they like existed. They probably
he was so close to being a really interesting character that like they just didn't quite give her enough, It was right there, and she could have been, and not even necessarily like a high tier character or broken or anything, just interesting and fun to play that your opponent would have had to have some knowledge to be successful against you, but it just wasn't quite there. But there was a lot there.
Yeah. That was I kind of forgot about that. Hatyr reminded me of that like when just like shortly after my mom passed away, a lot of people like stepped up and said, hey, like, and put like content on your channel, take a bit of a break, and like I think both you and Hatyr and a bunch of other people, I think,
and Compy
as well
did some stuff there too.
Yeah.
And funnily, and a great segue and kind of thing, the whole overall topic thing for this podcast, that was one of the first videos I made that I actually, spent time and kind of wrote it out how I thought it should go, and actually took time to make a video, to make content, because I wanted it to do well for your channel,
Yeah, that's super cool. That's which would like eventually lead into what we're going over today, which is like life on YouTube and like you starting your YouTube channel, because you started from pretty much like zero, like you just
zero.
create a
None.
new account, go and
No.
go. And like,
No.
can you tell me a little bit about like creating your YouTube channel and like kind of like anything in particular that you learned right off the bat, like that seemed like, you know, something fairly significant?
Like, so I'm real meticulous now. I'll give you the real short, just for people that don't really know me or kind of my journey. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I drank really heavily for a lot of my life, and I finally, you know, got sober. So that was the start of 2021. And then I actually knew that I was gonna try to do this as well. So the couple months before it, like October, November, and I was still drinking pretty heavily, but I set up all my stuff because I was going to be like, I'm going to get sober and I'm going to live stream and I'm going to do this stuff to kind of give myself something to do. So I'm not, you know, so I'm busy, right?
Like a distraction.
Like a distraction. Cause I knew that
Both a
stuff like
creative
that works
outlet
for
and a
me.
distraction.
Exactly. Cause I kind of I knew myself and I knew what I could do to try to at least give myself a good start where I could at least do something I'm interested in. And I love learning about new stuff like that, like streaming. I watched a lot of streamers and stuff like that, but didn't know the background stuff to it. So I actually created the YouTube account then when I was still, you know, I wasn't doing anything with it, but I knew eventually I was going to go from Twitch and then start doing the YouTube thing as well at some point. So then I actually didn't try, like I would put a little bit on there, have a little bit of fun with it, but I didn't actually try to do YouTube in any kind of way that, you know, to get random people to watch my stuff until the start of 2023, really. A little bit in 2022, but the start of 2023 when I decided to do my backlog project and have some fun and really learn how to create videos that people would want to watch instead of just, this is funny to me, I'm going to throw it on here, maybe somebody will watch it. I actually had a focused plan and I did a ton of research. So I didn't just go into it like, I'm going to create this and then I'm just going to make videos and upload them and whatever. If someone watches, they watch. If they don't, they don't. It was very focused and very like targeted what I wanted to do. If that makes sense.
That's a
100%.
really good approach, in my opinion, right? Setting yourself up, like just like the setting of it, setting yourself up for success, trying to get away from the booze and all that sort of stuff.
And
but
I had
doing
very
like
specific goals.
doing what you want to do. And that's my approach, right? Like, I'm going to just make a video that I would watch, right? The kind of stuff that I enjoy, the kind of like editing or the time that it takes or scripted versus kind of, you know, stream of consciousness sort of thing. And I don't even care if it gets any traction or not, right? What I want, like, one thing I've learned, especially like in, you know, music and other sorts of arts, right? And I try to, that's a place to like everything in life, fighting games or like learning anything, right? You're always going to be bad before you're good. And I think that people are so afraid to be bad at something that they just procrastinate forever, or they overwork it and try too hard, or try to like skip steps. And it's like, just be bad and pay attention to the things that people say are good, right? Like your quote unquote X factor, the things that people always comment on, right? Like,
and that can
what do you
be
always
hard
get comments
for some
about on your
people, though,
videos? How's the outside world perceive you?
Yeah. And that's hard for some people, though, because some people's minds work where they can only focus on the negative, right? So it's hard. So that becomes hard for them to see all the good things that they are doing and what is working, and to focus on that and work on that too. So it's not for everybody. You know, making videos, any type of creation stuff, music. It's funny that you bring up music because I had a band when I was younger too, like younger, with like over 20 years ago now, and I was the same way. I was really like the initial other guitar player in the band quit because he said I was too much of a control freak. But I had really specific things that I wanted to do. I had very specific, like, my songs were written with purpose. Like, I was very, and I wanted to execute in a certain way, and and it went pretty good until like it all fell apart, like, you know, things do. But yeah, so it's so yeah, it was working after a year. It was working, and I was sober, and I was feeling good, and I was in a really good place in my life. And everybody that kind of came along for that initial part of the journey was so awesome. Kind of ended up building this little community. And then I'm like, hey, well, so I got the live streaming thing down. I got the being sober thing down, and I feel good. Like, I can go places now that I used to go where it was always associated with drinking, and now it's not for me, you know. And that was relearning how to do stuff like, even like playing multiplayer games online, like playing Mortal Kombat online. I had to like learn how to do it, have fun, not being drunk all the time. So it sounds so weird, but like it was hard.
I don't think it sounds weird at all. Anybody with
like,
any sort of vice, especially like an addiction, right?
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I'll probably get in the cold sweats just listening to you talk about it or whatever, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And it was a total life change, like a total. But these were still things I loved, so I really wanted to get back into them. And then the more I went down these content creation holes and these rabbit holes of learning how to do something. Like, I don't know if you'd ever seen my old stream. It was so like effects driven and kind of neat stuff.
Bro,
like,
you had like sub notifications printing out on pieces of paper on your desk and stuff.
And
like
you're
a fucking cashier back there. Every little gadget, every little thing that you could do. It was pretty
like stuff
funny.
like you would get a sub and like UMK3 Shiva would like stomp my camera down and like flatten it and then like teabag it and then jump away, or like Johnny Cage would uppercut my head off into the pit in Mortal Kombat. Like, all of that stuff was so cool and so neat to learn, and I really loved it. And then I kind of hit a wall where it was like, man, okay, I'm kind of done with this. I learned everything that I want to learn and took it as far as I could as a single man production. What's next? And that's when I turned to YouTube and then just went, okay, let's learn absolutely everything that we can learn as a single person, not, bought out or working for a corporation like lots of the big YouTube channels are, and not someone that ended up starting, way back in the day, like 2010, and just has been they're kind of grandfathered in and already have that audience and they grew up with them and stuff. So we're starting from zero. What do we need to do?
Right.
How do we grow it? Who the hell wants to watch what I have to make? And what are my goals? So I started out very like from zero, and I didn't even really tell people that I had a channel because I knew and I had read off the start. It's like, well, you want people to watch your channel that are actually going to watch your channel. Lots of your friends and your family and stuff, they'll subscribe because they want to support you, but they won't watch your videos.
Yeah, and
that doesn't help you.
No, and that's what I tell people all the time, because people are like, oh yeah, I'll subscribe to your channel and whatnot, and I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. Like it's better than doing nothing. But I mean, if it doesn't really help me if you don't enjoy the content, if you don't relate, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Like one of my bigger supporters in all of this is my sister, and she hangs out in my YouTube streams and stuff, and like she has, to my knowledge, never played Mortal Kombat, any of the recent Mortal Kombat games, but she knows about it because she enjoys watching the stream and just says I'm a good entertainer. So it's like,
nice.
Right, and wants to support her brother or whatever. It's like her keeping tabs on you because you're talking about your day at work and all that stuff, right? Things that you'd probably be telling her on the phone, right? But she gets to like lurk in on you, and you don't know shit about her. No, I'm just kidding.
And she watches and enjoys though, and that's the thing, right? Like it's almost like that mentality where you see lots of young creators or creators that are first starting out, where they get into that follow for a follow, and they like go into streams and they're like, I'll follow you if you follow me. Yes,
it needs to be organic. Yes. Like the superficial numbers, like mean.
It's like subscribers mean nothing if nobody's watching your shit.
Yeah, and
that number means nothing
for me,
right? Because I need to get partners right now. I need 500 subscribers, but I need 3,000 watch hours, like in a 90-day period or something, right? Like
once you hit that, then they mean nothing.
For me, I use it as a metric to kind of gauge interest. Like if I have a video that says got 1,000 views, and I look at my analytics and that video got 6 subscribers. That's telling me that that's 6 people that have said, I want to see this guy again. So I'm going to subscribe. Right. So that's how I use it as a metric to kind of see.
That is the way you should.
Yeah, but I don't.
Especially with you've been around, right? And you have, I think last time I checked, you around 45,000 subscribers.
Pretty close.
You have a lot of built-in audience that's from a long time ago, and you have a lot of subscribers that probably don't even watch you anymore, but they're still subscribed.
Yeah.
So that is the way to look at that metric now in 2024 as you continue to do stuff. So we got 6 brand new viewers that liked what they saw enough that they're coming back.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. And even like you said, like people that don't even watch me anymore, like with the way that like the NRS kind of games move in and out, like I know that there are people who just watch for the Injustice content and don't necessarily want to lose track of me, but don't really care about Mortal Kombat, but they're still staying subscribed for when I come back and I do that Injustice content, Injustice 3 or whatever, right?
Don't you guys do that to your own feeds? Like you keep your subscription feed, you keep it curated. I know that I do. Yeah. And there's things that kind of stay. I actually kind of try to take advantage of the algorithm so I don't have to subscribe to things, but it still shows me things at least in the close enough ballpark based on other things that I've watched and stuff. But because sometimes I'm in the mood for Street Fighter 6 and sometimes I'm not. I'll lose interest for like 6 months or something, but I don't unsub from Brian F and Broski and everybody, right? But if I end up at like the 2-year mark and it's like, you know, I like you and I wish you success, but this is just like in my way now. I'm just not interested.
And you haven't watched anything. I do that. Right? I do that at least every 6 months. I clean it. Yeah, I do. I do too.
I'll unsub. I'm relentless about that shit.
Like, you brought up such a good point, though, Hatyr. I'm the same way now. It's so hard to get somebody to sub to your channel now because of how good the algorithm is in putting shit in front of you that you want to watch.
Bro, but that's where most of my views is just basically not from subs. Obviously, it's a low sub count, right? As soon as you hit the recommended thing and you see that metric grow up, right? Like percentage of views from the recommended by YouTube is 87%. Like that's happened to me like a couple times, right?
Yeah, but, I was actually checking your channel, and you have such a nice ratio. Dude, you make really good stuff, by the way. I really like the way you format your videos. They're well thought out. They're easy to understand, and you got a great voice. Whatever you do to your voice there, and the way that you talk, and it just sounds good. It's relaxing. It's good to watch. You put all the combos up on the bottom. By the way, man, if you just go watch your stuff. I wish you made more. I understand if you don't, but it's really good.
Dude, it takes so much time, and I don't know what to.
Yeah, it really does.
It takes so long, and I script, obviously, right? Yes. I was going to ask you if you script or not, because I can't tell. You sound like a professional YouTuber, right? Like, you don't sound like you're reading, but it obviously sounds scripted, right? Not bullet points and you're just kind of going off the cuff, and you got the whole like YouTube enthusiastic stuff, like I'm watching a review for a fucking TV or something, right? Like
awesome.
The inflections in the right spots, the good like cadence and spacing, and like you do way more editing than I do. I do editing for like cuts. Like, my thought about editing is like, I want what I'm saying to either be queuing up something or what I'm saying to be happening on the screen at the same time. It's like one of those two things. And I edit around that, right?
Yes.
But keep it super, super simple. No weird stingers, text on the screen when I need it.
Little funny things in there though too, which I like. They're well written.
Haha, so funny.
Oh, thanks.
But so my original point was your ratio of subscribers to views per video is like through the roof.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, it is really because it is, man. You have videos with a couple thousand, then you have videos with like 200 to 300. You don't have like 350 subscribers ish, right?
Yeah. Oh, what are you trying to say, Jimmy? 300? Are you trying to shame me over here?
Listen, I know you're joking right now. That is the biggest thing. I know some people take things personally like that, right? Like, oh man, and that's why I led off telling you how good I think your stuff is, and that's absolute truth. I do. It is really good. It's well put together. People that would see that channel and see that sub count would not expect that quality of video. And that's just because of the way, that's just because of the way YouTube is. There's so much trash on it that's what people expect. Oh, low sub count, nobody watches you, right? But it also goes back to, it's so hard to get people to sub to your channel these days because of how good the algorithm's good and it does what it's supposed to do, but in the end, people just don't sub because YouTube's going to show me the next good thing he does anyways, right? So but so what I read was you kind of want to be within the 12 to 14% kind of ratio of your subscribers. That's what you want your videos to kind of average, what you want them to be doing. Then you're kind of like in the zone of where you should be. So like example, and I did run numbers this week in preparation.
Hey, let's go.
If you have like Dink, what you're at, like, so you'd want to see like your average video if you had, let's say, 10 to 14% of your subscribers were actually watching your videos. Each video would hit about 6,500 views.
Right.
Then you would know that, okay, there's a good chunk of subscribers that are watching. And if you're below that, then at least you're finding your viewers if it's around the same mark. And I think right now you're hitting anywhere between 1,200, 1,500, somewhere in there. Above and below a little bit every now and then, so when you catch the algorithm and when you miss it.
Yep.
So but you have an audience. There's your audience right there. Those are the people that are tuning in every single time. So then depending on what your goals are, or where you want to go, or what you want to do with your current stuff, at least you have that starting point.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's like, it's, and there are different, like, It's so funny because I'm such a different content creator than you guys. Like my production value is not anywhere close to it, but I also don't mind being a clown on the internet. So like I just want to I want to make people laugh. I want to be funny, but I also want to teach people stuff, right? Like tutorial videos are like my favorite types of videos to make. But like there comes points where it feels like I don't know what else to do tutorials on, so I'm just going to have some gameplay just to try and keep the system going. But then you also have like what I call my whale videos, that are like how to play Mortal Kombat 1, how to play Mortal Kombat XL, how to play Mortal Kombat 11, like videos I made 2 years ago that I just did in certain formats. That was a long-term strategy kind of a thing, right? To like,
do those still get views?
I just got a comment on my how to play Mortal Kombat X video this morning. So
And that's awesome.
That's evergreen stuff. That's the kind of stuff, they're like your anchor videos, right?
yeah,
It lets everybody know this is what your channel's about. It's your best performing stuff, and it's where you're getting the most value. Your channel's getting the most value out of. And that's what I mean by like you. So if you were out to evaluate your stuff, and if your goal was, well, I want to get back to that. I want to get back. I want to see 5 digits per video every single time.
right.
Then you'd really have to take a look at everything you've done. And man, like I don't know how far down this road you want to go, because I have this whole thing of like, there's different content creators in Mortal Kombat and fighting games in general who do different things. You brought it up. Like I do shorts for Mortal Kombat because they're hilarious to me, and it's funny that people even watch them, and they do really well. Hatyr also does. Hatyr does analysis plus how to play, right?
Like instructional.
Instructional, very like focused. This is this character, and this is why I think it should be played like this, or this is my idea, and then you go through it. And you do tutorial from very basic to intermediate to expert. But there's also a whole other subset of creators out there that do other things. So there's the clickbaity type, we know, the ones we're all thinking about.
Yep.
But then there's very character-driven stuff that is almost like telling stories every time, and that stuff does really well too. And the reason I bring that stuff up is because depending on where you fall and what kind of creator you are and what kind of videos you make, you are very controlled by the popularity of the game at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if they even have a game, like do they have a game out?
Dude, the characters that you play and the other people in that community, and how much of that character is a part of their identity. So like a slight on the character is actually like an insult to them, or like very, I have to say that all of the Melina feedback, all the Melina players, and all of my comments and stuff, that it's been like a very supportive, constructive,
good.
Not catty, not anything, right? Like, oh, great idea, and then also this and this, and just kind of play Ashra as well, like just the one. So I feel like I've been Dink. The metric that we've had several discussions. Every once in a while, I get hung up on the numbers, but I try not to.
That's hard.
But I started like really noticing, like I did, all the gray arrows pointing down for average view duration. Like I had this understanding that it was relative. I was like, why would I even do anything that's not exactly like the same? I try to do things about 10 minutes. Sometimes it's over, sometimes it's under, whatever, but that's kind of like the sweet spot. But when I make something that does really well view wise, but it's only 3 minutes long, if somebody, and let's say that my 8-minute video, people watched only 50%, and my 3-minute video, people watched 100%. That 3-minute video on the metrics actually performed worse, right?
Yeah.
But it can't possibly even get to the 4-minute mark because 4 minutes doesn't exist. It's a 3-minute video.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on or what my incentive's supposed to be, like
I don't like that.
Maybe
I don't like that metric. Well, so a big part of that is how good is your thumbnail and your title.
Yeah.
Because if your thumbnail and your title relate to the first 30 seconds to 60 seconds of your video, and someone clicks it and they get what they're expecting, they watch more. They watch longer.
Yeah.
If someone clicks it and they don't, and it's kind of like takes you a little bit to get into it or to tell them what they're going to see, then they're the hell out of there, and it just drops your average, right?
Yeah. And
I suffer from thumbnail clutter. For sure.
The term that I heard years ago, and I still live by it to this day, is that your titles and your thumbnails should intrigue. They should never deceive. So make sure that
absolutely
whatever you're
and that holds true.
Yeah, whatever you're hinting at, that you show it off fairly quickly in the video. Last time I looked, it was like within 3 minutes, but that's probably changed with shorts and all that kind of stuff now. but just like deliver on what you're doing, and then they'll
Shorts
probably
are
be
on a different. They're different now, so that doesn't. Long form and shorts are kind of graded differently on their metrics too. So for watch time and stuff now, it
Right.
used to be all together, and that was when it was a huge mess. But
yeah, that's when it kind of is confusing onto where your stats are doing, right?
if I'm doing stuff like your stuff, Hatyr, if it was my stuff, I would do what you said. I would kind of keep them within that same range. And the key then is consistency. And don't worry about a metric until you have 30 to 50 videos to look back on. Because anything other than that, you just don't have a wide enough range of data to really make an informed decision about what you would want to do next.
I agree, because when I do start to get hung up on the numbers, I can feel it stimulating my reptile brain, like the gambling portion, addiction center of my brain, right? Not the rational, logistic one. Exactly.
It's set up like that, dude.
I'm not your fucking pawn, YouTube. I will not concede.
You know what you should? And if you hit the algo and you like something pops up, uninstall YouTube Studio from your phone. And if you don't have it on your phone, don't put it on.
I know, that's when I do have it on my phone, and that's the problem. Yeah, for sure.
That was my first. Once I had my first video, it was Borderlands 3, my first long form that popped off, and man, and I had it went off. I was like, and I think it's sitting at like 70,000 views. So for long form, for me, that's really good. I've only had one thing over 100,000 in long form.
Right.
I couldn't stop looking at that goddamn app.
Yeah,
and I couldn't just move on and just make something else, where really your mindset has to be just, it's done. That video's out there and it's done. Leave it.
It'll be.
And then
sorry.
Go ahead.
It'll be interesting to get some feedback from viewers out here, from like a viewer perspective of listening to this, and kind of what kind of creators are looking at, creators are doing, and like how viewers view thumbnails and titles, and that's kind of a thing.
That would be something to comment on. What makes you click on Mortal Kombat video if you don't know the creator?
Yeah.
Are you specific? Like, do you channel surf? Obviously, so YouTube's a search engine, right? And that's correct. So the best stuff works when this SEO is optimized, the search engine optimization. So that's why like titles are so important. So lots of people, there are still people that only go on YouTube to search for very specific things. And then you have viewers that treat it like old school TV, like cable.
Yeah, they just go through and watch all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think for the most part.
And they channel surf. And so that's why it's important to identify and know who are you targeting. What kind of viewer are you targeting?
Yeah, no, 100%. And like, it's funny because people will ask me sometimes, like, you know, like who are some good Mortal Kombat content creators, and who do you watch in your off time? And like, I would say the content that I consume the least of in my spare time is Mortal Kombat content. Like, unless I'm specifically looking for something, the only content creators I watch are my friends and Ketchup and Mustard. Ketchup and Mustard is the only creator that I will watch every single video every single time. Because I mean, they're friends as well. I've loved seeing them at events and stuff. But
you must like the way they put their stuff together then, and the way they present it, and kind of what they do then.
It's always good, and it's always it's always educational. I always learn something, even if it's from something that's not really relevant, like, you know, like most broken characters in Mortal Kombat 4 or something like that. But that's like, that's the stuff that I find
That was the lull time, right? When they needed views? I love that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, back to what we click on. What had you clicking on Mortal Kombat? You just said you don't watch any at all. You're never looking for info on YouTube. I feel like I go to YouTube, not just for games or whatever, but literally anything, like recipes or how to fucking install a toilet seat or whatever. So
that's what we were talking about. Like,
my first spot.
What audience are like who? Because there's different audiences. There's audiences that channel surf, and there's audiences that go on and they very specifically look for certain things. So that's why title is so important. But so Dinky was talking about he doesn't really watch Mortal Kombat creators, like outside of like one or two and his friends.
Yeah, like I feel like if I want to get information, I know enough about the game that I know how to get it. I don't have to go to YouTube for it at this point. But the few times that I will go to YouTube for content creations, to see what other people are doing, see what people are reporting on, what am I missing?
What's working?
What's working? Yeah.
That's what, if you're, and again, this all comes down to goals. So assuming you were like, man, I've been doing this so goddamn long, and now I want to grow. I need to grow. Otherwise, I'm just not seeing the trade-off and how much time I'm putting into this to what's coming out of it. You know, like I need to do something. Then watch with purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and And I could tell you, and that's what I do. I don't watch a ton of MK stuff unless I'm trying to see what's working, what's popular. You know, the game's kind of not as popular as other Mortal Kombat games. Like Chaos Reigns just
I don't
came
watch
out.
gameplay videos, but I'm looking for like, okay, for some reason I'm just thinking about Reptile today. I just need some B&Bs and like somebody that can present
how
like
hard is it
like
to
a couple
find that
frame
shit?
traps and tech and stuff. It's so hard. That's why I started making videos because
that
I
kind
got
of
like
content is like non-existent, man.
and when it is, and it's not like a slight to people out there because there's plenty of good content out there, but there is so much that is
garbage,
questionable,
it's
right?
bad.
And then you've got the whole sea of people that have all that are like plaguing your algorithm because they have so many followers and stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to call something a definitive guide,
Yeah.
you know, if you know, you know. I won't name them by name or whatever, right? But that shit's so fucking irritating. Definitive guide, and it's just so clear you needed to shit out this video to make sure you got it out at the same time or just before everybody else to start getting the tries. That's not a definitive guide.
And
This is
bad.
barely helpful. I can go to the, you know, I can just do this myself. I don't need to spend 20 minutes watching you do it.
He is like heated, and I'm loving it. I love the passion.
Bruh, sorry.
No, it's good. That's a very similar story to me too, because that's kind of back in 2015 when I started doing all of this. It's almost been 10 years. That's crazy. I wanted to fill that niche because even back then there weren't any like tutorial videos, and the ones that were out there were super duper bad. So I knew I had the knowledge, I had some personality, so I just put myself out there, and that's kind of been my niche ever since. And not too many people have like kind of really edged in on that. They've people have talked about and done guides and stuff, obviously, but like I've kind of like there's not that many creators that are just doing the very, very basics. People don't even know this is called a fighting game, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and you know why? Because no one's trying to learn how to play this game.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's really evident with Chaos Reigns coming out, and you look at player counts, and you look at what's hitting right now and what people are watching in regards to Mortal Kombat 1 content. And it's not that people aren't watching Mortal Kombat 1 content. There are still creators out there that put videos out that get six digit views, hundreds of thousands of views, right? It's that there's nobody new coming in. There's no new generation coming in going, holy I want to learn the ins and outs, the deep stuff. Like what actual fighting game stuff like you guys teach, like you guys do. So, but the audience is there. It's just not as big as the other stuff. So that's why your views sit between, 500 and let's say 5,000.
Right.
On something that's let's call it intermediate information video.
I shout outs to another YouTube creator, JZ Bottom Lip, who's very accomplished and stuff. And he was talking about in a recent video about when people were trying to like roast his tier list or whatever. He's like, listen, like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Nobody in this game wants to get creative. That's why you see the same teams are like whatever. You want to see somebody else do it and you want to replicate it and it works. And you might have a semblance of like knowledge of like how it works, but you can't create it yourself. What you're calling mix-ups aren't real mix-ups because they're beat by armor and delay wake up and goes to this whole like ranch, whatever. But he thinks that's a big problem in this game, right? Is that, the cool flashy stuff. Okay, so how do I learn how to do that, but not really understand, like you're talking about all the fun nitty gritty stuff about like why this works. And I think that
actual tech.
Yeah.
The word broke. I've never seen the word broken get thrown around so much and misused as it has since Mortal Kombat 1 came out.
Well, like as a knee-jerk reaction too, right? Yeah. Whereas like 2 days later, it's like, oh yeah, you can just delay wake up.
They lost to something on Combat League, and then it's Twitter.
Right.
Or I'm gonna make this, this 1 minute video about how this is the most broken stuff I've ever seen in my life, and it's not.
No, there's counterplay to it. People just don't want to lab, and that's Sonic Fox has been saying that for years. 99%,
and he hasn't, right? So if you're a creator that makes tech videos that tries to educate people and tries to help them learn, but nobody out there wants to learn, how successful are your videos going to be?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and maybe it'll expose them. Maybe they're looking for it by something else, or it gets recommended for whatever reason. You get caught up in the algorithm, and they don't even realize that there's a deeper game until it's like, I look for stuff like that, right? Like I literally have had 0 comments of people asking me like what a notation means or like what a word that I used means. Otherwise, I would have more beginner stuff, but I don't feel like the appeal is there.
The
And I
people
don't
that
think
are
if I throw
finding
it
your
out to the
stuff,
universe, people will find it, right? I'm kind of like building out from the core that I already have, and so maybe that puts me in an echo chamber, like a little bubble. But I'm still at that point to where it's like, if I feel like I want to share it, because it takes so much time, right? I'm not
when you
looking,
put it together that quality, yes.
I'm not looking for a YouTube payday or anything like it's like literally just a creative outlet. And, you know, if I can put something else out there, you know, then whatever.
When you obviously you need to care about it and you need to want to share it, and then you put it together and you put it together in a very professional way, and it's a good way. And they're finding the people that want to find it. Like 2,000 views on a video is nothing to sneeze at. I don't sneeze at when I get a couple hundred views.
That's how I feel. Like
that's a couple hundred people that, hey, they found this. Maybe YouTube didn't push it, but they found it and they watched it.
Do you ever go find a video on YouTube and you're like 78 views? Who's this scrub?
Well, it's such a hard mentality to get out. It really is so, because then you see it and you're like, fuck, nobody watched this. Why didn't YouTube put this in front of anybody, man? It must suck.
Right.
And then you watch it and, you know, it's fun to roll the dice sometimes and just go slumming on YouTube. Find some, like, maybe this is garbage, maybe it's good. You'll find some good stuff. You will.
Yeah.
Trying to find some tutorials on how to figure out DaVinci Resolve. Oh boy, that was a fun one.
Because that got so big, it being free and it being a solid editing program. So then all the other people jump on that just make that knee-jerk stuff, like Hatyr said. Like, they just need to get, or maybe it was you, Dinky, that said it. They need to make it and they need to get it out right now because it's hot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That was and like, as a YouTube viewer, I will know within probably 10 seconds if I'm watching your video by how good the audio is. If I have to listen to a really, really crappy mic, I am not watching your video.
PS4 fan or like whatever, right?
Yeah.
Don't bring that into my life.
Yeah.
And that should be the number one thing. If you're an aspiring video maker out there, make sure your audio is good. Your camera can be crap. You can be successful without a camera. Doesn't matter. 100%.
Camera definitely can help because it adds a little bit of like that personal touch to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, good audio should
I'll
be the
never
first
do
thing.
that. Yeah, I'll never do that.
And the beauty is there's nothing that really shows that it depends what you're building and what you're making. It doesn't matter. You can be successful with or without it. So, but audio, if you want to do something to get big and grow to any type of size, you have to have good audio. You have to.
Yeah.
Ryan.
100%. That's
let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is just because I like numbers and stuff and like that kind of stuff. Who would then you guys probably know these three creators. Which one's channel would you rather have if you could take it over and have like kind of the numbers that they get and like right now if you could do it today?
The kind of people that are paying attention to them if I get those eyes on me.
The audience too. Yeah. Like which one do you think is better? So Super, you know that dude? Like 1.1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Definitely not the person I was referencing about the definitive guide earlier. Definitely not him.
Wasminator, 267,000 subs. Mike Trolinsky, 302,000 subs. Which one do you? I don't know how much you know about each one, but yeah, Jesus is right on that one. I was actually surprised.
Mike Trolinsky, I'm not
YouTuber?
super familiar with his channel, actually. The other two I know.
I know of him as a player. He was pretty good.
I know him as a player as well.
I didn't even realize he blew up to that big.
If I were to tell you that I think he's the best of the three, he's the best YouTuber.
Really?
Would you believe me?
I would believe you and that's not any shade at Wasminator. I don't care what anybody like, whatever.
Waz is cool.
Because Waz is fine, but he's got that YouTube editing sort of thing, right? That really rapid fire quick editing thing, and
retention editing.
Bro, it gives me motion sickness. You know, that sort of stuff.
He very much is retention editing. So, and the reason I think he's the best is he could make successful videos, and success is a metrics, but we're going to go by views here. He can make successful videos even if the game is dead.
Right.
If NRS didn't put a video or put a game out, if NRS didn't put a game out for 2, 3, 4 more years, he could still make successful videos.
Well, what's his format? Like, what's the appeal?
So he's built it up. Like, he's a character. And he almost does not kind of like, it's a little bit skits at the start, but it tells a story. His videos tell a story to where the gameplay is there, but it's almost like second seat.
Right.
You know, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end.
Like a movie or a play or something. Act 1, Act 2,
exactly,
Act 3.
and it's put together where, you know, the audience sees it. It's kind of built on kind of funny and entertaining, and it's not really my cup of tea, but I watch every now and then just to see, okay, what's the format? Why are people watching this, man? Like, you know, and I really start wondering, like, what's his retention stuff? So I took a look. The guy only puts out 2 videos a month, but every single one does 6-digit numbers and above.
That's good.
That's really good.
Every single one.
I feel
so.
Sorry, Jimmy, to go back to the question about if I could get an audience, I think I'm not too familiar with Mike Trolinski, so I'm not going to comment on him so much. I have no idea what kind of content he puts out. But I feel like Waz's community, I would probably relate to the most. Like, I feel like the knowledge of what I'm trying to do on my channel would resonate.
Competitive kind of side of things.
Would resonate with that. Community more.
Would you be willing to put the work in that he did to get to that level? Because for me, he hasn't done anything that you couldn't yourself do. He doesn't have a team. Right. He's done it all himself.
Yeah. And I mean, that the problem is time for me. Like, that's, you know, and if I had the time, maybe I would go down that route. I'm not really great on like the jump cut kind of a thing. But I do know, I think I would probably be the most successful. I mean, this may seem obvious if I had Super's, you know, audience with over 1 million.
I don't think you want that audience.
I don't, though. That's the thing. And like,
so remember, let's go back to what I said was the percentage that you should be hitting. It's like per subs for it. So if actually you had an audience that was kind of loyal and you'd built it up. I have no idea how this guy has 1.1 million subs. I don't, because his views are so low compared to that sub count. Do you know how many videos he puts out a month?
I don't know. He used to do daily at one point.
Guess.
I'll say 20, maybe
80.
80 videos a month.
80 videos a month.
So he's just oversaturating the YouTube.
He got a big bump because he was a Call of Duty player, right? That's how the whole thing started.
Is that how he got up there?
That's how his channel got the initial subscriber count and kind of traction, and he's talked about that before.
Okay, I was curious. I didn't know if it was Injustice or if it. Like,
no, well, I was watching him, so this is where I think a lot of his momentum came from, which he's been like very candid about, right? And he's definitely put in the grind. I'm not trying to slight him in any way.
No.
I watched him a lot leading up to Injustice 2, where he was doing a lot of like MKX, and he's a perfectly average player, very competent, and he's kind of like our resident koala bear Khan, to where he can do something with everybody. And I feel like that was the appeal to his channel, and you could see it reflected in his comments and people requesting and things like that, right? Because he could do something with everybody. And like, oh, you want to see Tremor? And he, you know, he knew the setups, he knew the B&Bs, he knows how to play, and he could just do it. And I feel like that going into Injustice 2, like, really had him like moving forward with
and he definitely, I was looking at view counts, and he definitely hit the algo a couple times where it just took him and just took it like went wild, because he's got a couple on there that are like 1 million views.
Boone showed
there's nothing special about the videos too. Oh, is that
Boone's retweeted him a lot, and you know,
I guess. So he makes 80, and I wrote this down because it was incredible. So I just want to spit it out really quick. He makes 80 videos a month, and I added, and this is average. This is not like every single day and every single month, but it's about 1.2 million views a month. So you guys know what CPM is, right?
Yep. I do.
What you get paid, what YouTube pays you for every 1,000 views for ad revenue. And this is just ad revenue. It's not his live stream, or if he does anything else for subs, or if he has brand deals, or if he has affiliate stuff. So Mortal Kombat is usually around 3 to 3.5, bucks per 1,000 views. It depends. It goes up and down. Video games is always lower. If you really want to be a YouTuber, kids, go like financial stuff, do-it-yourself stuff, construction, stuff like that. Video games, low CPM, hard to make money.
Yeah.
Cooking.
So he makes, on views alone, he probably makes about $4,200 a month, just on views alone. But he has to put out 80 videos.
That's a lot.
Like three videos a day. The dude's putting a video out every 9 to 10 hours. So So even if you're just doing gameplay and you're doing like real simple, low effort stuff, not low effort, but like you're just playing and you're talking over your gameplay and you're putting that much out, you don't have a ton of time to do really much else. And then you're probably worked yourself into a thing where YouTube always expects that. So if you take time off, you kind of screw yourself too, and then you won't hit, your 1.2.
Do you think that's why he doesn't really edit his videos?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. That's
They're not edited. They're not, man. They're so hard for me to watch, and I
like
watch
just
every
a
now
couple
and then
clean
to try to learn.
cuts.
Yeah,
man, people think to themselves, just go through and cut down the downtime in between matches or something like that, right? Like, or whatever. It's like, you have no idea how long that takes. And every hour or minute or hour, or whatever things like that take is just that further along in the day that you can actually start to render it, you know?
Yeah, it's trade-off. It's your free time. It's time maybe you got another job. But he's full-time, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So then you've got Mike and Waz.
I want to share something really quick. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
On my YouTube channel, from the people that I am subscribed to, just a fun fact. The very top most relevant content creator is JimmyPotatoTV.
Well, I did just have a piece of content hit 1 million views for the first time.
That's
really?
Yeah.
That's
congratulations.
I don't think
that Scorpion short. It's so bad. So the reason people that got pushed and people loved it. They watched it. Is because I don't put the MK9 costume at number 1.
So it's like a rage watch.
But I put it enough in there that it's sitting in the middle where it pisses people off.
That's
and then they have to comment on it. So it doesn't matter if the comment is negative or positive, it's engagement.
Yeah.
Right.
And YouTube says, let's put it in front of somebody else and see what they do. So that thing has been getting views for over a year. It's like 385 days ago I put that thing on, and like 4 days ago it hit 1 million views. So
congratulations, Jimmy. That's a big milestone.
Thanks, man. And the Cabal one all of a sudden just took off out of nowhere. So that one's going to hit 100,000 views here probably next week. So it's funny. Shorts are funny. You don't make any money off them though.
So if I scroll all the way to the bottom of my sub list to the least relevant, for me it's Super. So it's just funny that,
really,
that we're having this conversation, and like because when you guys are talking about who you're sub to or whatever,
though, right? Like,
no, I don't really,
right?
but I stay subscribed to like see his thumbnails in my feed and see see what he's making, you know. But I don't watch.
What's he doing? Sure, and that's what you, as a YouTuber, you should be doing that.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Can you easily see where I am on that list? And if so, I don't even want to know where I am. I just want to know who's kind of like around where I am.
All right, let's find you here. I would say you're in the top half of my content creators.
Who's like who's right below me and who's right above me?
Let's see here.
Max is below you on Mine Hater.
Really?
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of his stuff. I'd like to see what he's doing, but I don't watch a lot of it.
So on my list,
I don't either.
You are above Avicii. And you're
who's that?
An artist.
Ooh, sometimes. I get
Yeah.
the feeling.
And then you're right below Scars Unseen, the Cyrax content creator.
All right, okay.
So yeah.
Good company.
Yeah, you're in there. Even though you haven't made a
2 months. God damn it. That's why I left that comment. I really like that.
Well, this is what I want to do. I've been actually I kind of went through this whole circle of character crisis sort of thing, and it's funny because I just ended up exactly like where I started. But instead of just kind of fixating on teams and cameos and things like that, I just feel like kind of pigeonholed me. What I notice a lot are, so talk about like creating the videos that you want to do that aren't already out there. There's like so much good info out there that actually go pretty in depth to like, let's say like Sector, Noob, or like whatever. But like what Dink was talking about is like, I don't need to talk about the basics, right? Like I'm going to talk like regular notation without even like pointing anything else about it. And you can ask me in the comments, whatever, if you want to, but just like try to figure out a way to present things like you would like a Tekken player. It's like, I'm not going through their whole fucking move list, right? But I'm going to talk about their key moves, whether that's like a normal or a special and how things go together, you know, and things like that. I'm still kind of brainstorming like how simple or complicated that would be. And I have to script it out because that's like my timetable. And it's like, I would say every page that I script is about 2.5 minutes of actual recorded time, like with clips and all of that stuff, with like the pacing, like how I talk and things like that. But I'm too afraid to do that because fighting games change all the time. Like, I don't want to put all this time into like a Melina thing, and then she gets patched next month or whatever, and she's got like a new move, and something got nerfed or something got buffed, and that's like where I'm kind of, you know, reluctant. Overall.
That's the most frustrating thing for me is like when somebody comments on a video I made 6 months ago, and they're like, this doesn't actually work anymore. You should take this video down. And I'm like, it's so hard for me to just be like, oh, listen here, buddy.
Comments, man, they're great, but they're so funny sometimes and it's hard. It's another number for me, and it's another thing where if you get too wrapped up in it, it can ruin what you're doing, and it can kind of ruin your day.
Don't read the comments. You know, don't read the comments. I like reading the comments. I want to know.
I love reading the comments. I do, absolutely. Until my shorts blew up, and then I was like, man.
So let's pivot and talk about shorts, because you did shorts on YouTube,
sure, bro,
and TikTok and all that kind of stuff.
Let him cook.
Like what was the experience like doing YouTube shorts as opposed to doing TikToks?
Let me tell you why you should do shorts. The only reason, okay? If you want to grow your channel, you should do
just to get attention.
Just to get your stuff out there, because the way that those systems are built and those algorithms are built, and because of the length of they can shoot so much more out, and so many more people are on their phones, and when they're consuming content, it's so much easier to just swipe up on a short, right? So it's easier for YouTube to shoot your shit out to like so many people in a much faster way, and it's much easier for them to decide what did somebody like and what did somebody not like without even a comment. It's, did you swipe it? How long before you swiped it? Or how long did you watch it? It's like real simple metrics for YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Well, me as a viewer also get in that small little spot is like your tone, like the tone of you, like presenting it, your body language, your video quality, your audio quality, or whatever. Right away. Like, right.
When you're making a short, like the first 5 seconds are so crucial and so important. So that's part of one of my mistakes, and why my long form kind of suffers sometimes. Sometimes it's hit and miss, is because it's Mortal Kombat driven. It's like ratings and lists, but they're done in a way that they're like brain rot, right? They catch your attention and you want to watch, you want to see to the end, and they're designed by that super intentionally. But it's grown my channel, and it helps it so that it kind of keeps my channel relevant, and it still helps things kind of keep moving, even within the live and the other stuff like that. That as long as YouTube knows people are watching my stuff, it gives my other stuff another chance. It every now and then it'll randomly pick a video and push it into existence. Like something happened with Terminator. There was a Netflix thing that came out, so my Terminator video all of a sudden got a little bump. So YouTube saw, hey, it did okay the first time, and now it gives you a little bump because you're still a relevant channel, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, and it is cool.
Do you watch shorts, Dink?
I do not watch shorts.
See? I don't watch shorts. Do you want to know why I don't watch shorts?
I will spend my whole afternoon on TikTok, but I have not opened YouTube shorts.
That's like because they're the same. So they're the same.
Yeah.
Why do you not watch shorts, Hatyr?
Because most of the time I'm watching YouTube is on my TV. Like I usually queue up things that I want my watch later thing, and you can't view shorts on a television. Yeah, every time I try to view a short, it wants me to disconnect, and it's just a habit. Like talk about like they want time to be a commodity, moving on to the next thing, and you want me to do like 2 extra things in order to view this, on a separate device. Go fuck yourself. No, but it still puts it in my algorithm, like on the TV. But that's it's like my TV time is like YouTube time sometimes, right?
It's like cable. It's like same thing. That's usually when I'll watch too. It's like if I had was eating something or taking a break from something else, I'll throw it on like I used to throw on TV. Yeah. So I make them and I don't change them when I put them on TikTok. And I don't know if you noticed, but I stopped posting them on TikTok too, because the Shaolin Monks one. Yeah, and Katana was the #1 in that one. I think she looks the best out of all the playable Shaolin Monks characters. They cited that for nudity and sexual content on TikTok. YouTube let it rock because of her outfit.
So I wanted to ask
no nudity and blah 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 blah.
I wanted to ask you specifically about that incident, because your TikToks were doing pretty good. Like you were doing good over there.
TikTok's not easy to grow on if you don't do the trends, and I don't do trends. Right. I just do my thing, right? And I actually was doing pretty good.
You did really good. And then, as far as I know, unless you have more to the story, that was like your first little hint of adversity, and then bam, you're gone.
Yes.
Didn't even give it a second chance, nothing. You're just
and
like,
you know why?
Yes, let's hear it.
I don't make any money on TikTok.
Yeah, it's true. Why is it worth the effort, right? Especially like
Canadians,
You're making all their advertisers money. Like you're doing the work.
Exactly. I'm making they're getting the views out of me, but I'm not getting anything.
right. Do you think you're getting people transferring over from TikTok to YouTube?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Nothing really meaningful because I do the only line in my profile is more on YouTube and then it's got the link, right?
Right.
Not a lot of transfer. I think people are really like either your TikTok or like your YouTube shorts. I think
people like what they like.
Yeah, and they do. And that was kind of the idea of doing it was, okay, well, I'll open up a new audience can kind of see my stuff and we'll see if it transfers over. But I don't think there's a huge conversion there.
Yeah.
So because it hasn't hurt me to stop doing them on TikTok.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're not seeing any sort of like dip off or anything like that.
And I'm getting comments though on TikTok on make more videos.
TikTok
so I might make a video being like, listen, Katana's fictional video game ass and cleavage were too much for TikTok. It was too much
for TikTok.
And they banned it. And I just don't have time for that. It's like, no, that's fine.
No, that's fair. I do have a TikTok account, but I don't use it for anything really serious. Like I'll post just the odd thing, maybe like a quote.
You used to do the swearing Santa, didn't you?
That was
a couple years ago.
Yeah. That was like me and my son's pandemic project. The videos are still out there, but I haven't made a video on that in like 2 years.
My wife loved that too.
I think everyone that watched it loved it, and like that was when My son was like, "Did you know you could buy views on TikTok?" I was like, "What? You can buy views?"
And you learned about that.
He learned about that.
Yeah.
So the one time I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just pay $5 and we'll see how much it gets me." And then it freaking blew up, and the comments were hilarious because it shows up as a sponsored video, right? And people are like, "Why is this sponsored?"
Yeah. Did you know that platform is geared to make you do that?
Basically. Oh, 100%.
Right.
100%.
So what it does is the first couple you post, it'll be like it'll make sure people watch it. It'll put it in front of enough people that it hits a number where you're like, man, okay, I'm gonna make more, and then they'll really fucking blow one up. Like they'll blow it up,
right?
And it'll hit like massive number, and then you'll die after that.
How many are real views, though? How many are real views? If I'm scrolling on my phone and something starts auto-playing, but silently, right? It still ends up like in my... I'm talking about YouTube now, right?
Yeah.
It still ends up like in my YouTube history. It's like, I didn't fucking watch that. And now it's affecting my algorithm, all that stuff. That person has a view that doesn't belong to them. Not that I'm being stingy with it, right? But that's not an accurate representation. How many,
YouTube
I guess
does a really good job of getting rid of bot views or like with people that try to game the system and do repetitive views to try to boost numbers. It has there's a whole thing. That's why sometimes your views don't update like real time like you think they should, because it's going through their system of trying to get rid of the fake ones that
all your metrics like don't start for like 48 hours or whatever, right? Like the real solid
as for you,
stuff.
Your own person, if you leave something on, you're fucking you're screwing over your own feed.
Yeah, I get distracted for 1 second and whatever I'm in the middle of just starts auto playing, and now it's in my history and all that shit.
It's funny you bring that up because I let something run and it put something up there and it was about like sexual it was about something in the bedroom, married couples thing, right? And I had left it play accidentally. Oh my god, it took 3 weeks for me to like to have it stop throwing that stuff in my feed. So I was having to like purposefully look for like back to fighting games, man. Like, what is Tekken 8? So I had to spend a whole week like watching stuff specifically so my feed, if it popped up accidentally on stream or something, people wouldn't be like, Jimmy, what's going on, man? Like,
yeah, mine starts to get really lopsided in one direction. Like when I watch Game of Thrones, like the Game of Thrones videos, like the algorithm put me onto like writing because people were talking about like it turned into like D&D were bad writers, and that turned into just other writing videos, like good tropes versus bad tropes. And to like, and then all the fighting game stuff was gone in my feed. It was all writing stuff and Game of Thrones stuff and like a couple other things. I was like, okay, so you kind of got to go through and like retrain it.
You got to reel it in.
Gotta have the balance,
Yeah, and then there's people that will like use that same kind of strategy to like help people out and support them. Like I've heard people say like, even though if I'm not interested in your video, I'll just throw it on in the background and have it super low. Which
again, it can hurt your overall, because then if they're not going to watch later on, then it screws you. So what YouTube does is, and you have an option. So when you go to, and this is a strategy to use with your shorts too, depending on what you make, if you're a variety like I am, there's options when you go to publish your video to give it to your subscription feed or not.
Right.
So if you don't click that, YouTube is still going to push the video out. It's going to push it out based on what it's about and the thumbnail and the title more than anything else. So if it's a good video, it's still going to do good. But if you have that click, so it pushes out to subscriptions, if it goes on people's feed that are subscribed to you and they don't watch, it hurts your video.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Those are those moments I was talking about before, where like you remind people that you're around, putting stuff in their feed that they don't care about, and they unsubscribe from you or whatever.
And it's better if they do unsubscribe to you, because it's only hurting your views, because it'll give it like, I don't know what the actual time is. I think it depends on the video and blah, blah, blah. It'll give it like, let's say 12 hours. It'll say, we're only going to push it to his subs and we're going to do it in a little chunks. 500 here, 500 there. Who watches it? Who doesn't? How long do they watch it? Did they like it? Did they comment? It'll take all that data and decide, now we're going to push it out to greater YouTube, to people that aren't subscribed. How many people are going to push it to? Who are we going to push it to? And how are we going to push it? So it's that's where subscriptions and subscribers still come in, very important. So if you have a whole bunch of subscribers that still aren't really watching you, or your content changes, or you want to try something different, make sure you uncheck that box. So it just pushes it out to YouTube organically, and you let YouTube kind of do that for your content, especially if you're variety like I am. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because YouTube works. The algorithm works. It's not. So many people, so many creators get this thing where they think they're against the algorithm and they're against YouTube.
Wait, I watched this Mr. Beast video, and he said the number one rule for becoming like a better YouTuber is that every time that you feel compelled to say the word algorithm, replace it with the word audience, because that's literally what it is, right?
100%.
Humanize it into audience, right? No algorithm in your language.
You're not
audience.
If you're against anybody, that means you're against your viewers, right? Because all YouTube is built for, it's a search engine and an optimization engine to put your stuff in front of people that want to watch it. It wants people to watch your shit. It wants to keep people.
You give it a reason.
YouTube.
You give it a reason to do it, though, right?
Bingo.
I've been.
So that's why. Yeah.
I've been waiting to have a conversation with people about this term that I hear, and I hear about it more on TikTok than I do YouTube, but I do hear it sometimes on YouTube, where people say they're quote unquote shadow banned. And I've looked into that, and I can't find any sort of proof that's an actual thing, where it's like,
where that's a thing,
you, but not actually like tell you that you're banned.
That's the thing on Twitter.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Also, YouTube comments, right? You can ban people, and then they don't know. It still looks like they're interacting with you, right? But no one else can see their shit or whatever.
Like,
isn't that a shadow ban?
All of a sudden, you'll be posting videos, and you've posted, just as example, these aren't real numbers. You post 5 videos, they do really good. They get 10,000 views each, and then you go to post a video, and it gets 1,000 views, and you think you're shadow banned.
That's 100% what it is, and people will be like, "Just so you know, I'm shadow banned." So, and it's like, no, that's just a creator trying to like come up with an excuse for poorly performing video.
You're not being honest with yourself, and how do you make good content if you just feel like? That's the thing with like making music. So Jimmy, you'll understand, especially if you've recorded everything or anything, right? Like it's like a package deal, and it needs to hold its own weight, and it needs to support itself, because you're not going to be there to be like, well, what I was trying to go for here was this and this. If it doesn't express that in its own way, because you're not there to tell people, right, like what you meant by something or like whatever, it has to support itself. You
have to be okay, and we hit this right off the start. You have to be okay with failing. You have to be okay with something not doing good, and
it's okay to do bad ideas.
100%.
If you think that's a bad idea, a lot of times it can turn into a good idea, like if you tweak it a little bit. But even if it ends up being bad, you at least get a little bit of a takeaway for like the exercise of doing it, but you're clearing the gutters. Like you're making way for new ideas. You got it out of your head. You have closure. You can move on, right? Like it's not like a lingering thought. Like just do everything.
This is why I write down the purpose or the main idea. Like, and I do this backlog thing to learn how to write kind of reviews and get my thoughts out properly. I'll write down what I'm trying to convey in just a short little jot form, so I can look back after if the video was successful. And right now I consider success like 1,000 to 5,000 views on my long form. If the comments are saying something different or that I missed something, I'll know I missed the mark of my intended purpose. And I
Right.
do that with purpose when I make videos. I say, what is the main idea I'm trying to get across about this game?
Okay.
And I
And would
actually write
you
it
know
down.
that you need to make an adjustment, like say multiple adjustments, right? Like, I took a couple
Yeah.
like risks there, like whatever. How many
Did it
adjustments
work?
do you make at a time, right? For the next video? Like, will you change 3 things or just one thing?
I usually only do one. And I do that every single video.
Because you don't want to be guessing about which one was the right thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have it way too much on my head either. Like you can't change too much at once. And it's with songwriting too. Like I used to test songs live, you know, before I would see it. Well, do I want to finish it? Is it even any good? Did people bop their head? Were they getting crazy? Hey, we did it 2 shows in a row. Did anybody remember like the main hook, the main verse, blah blah? So by the end of our run, people sang our songs, man, and we only did one demo, but it was the same process of, and that's just me being a control freak in the way that I like to do things. I'm very purposeful in what I like to do, and I think that's why I grew my channel.
A little bit of a
You said it right off the
perfectionist
top.
and stuff, right? It's
Zero
very
subs, and
deliberate.
now almost at like 15,000. Never paid once to have it, you know, pushed or have more views or anything like that. Just very much one video at a time. Change a little bit. What works? What doesn't work? What are people liking? What aren't they liking? What missed? What didn't? You know, and that's the way I like to do it because that keeps it interesting for me. As right now, I know that it's almost going to be impossible for me to do this full time. But when I'm doing it part time, at least I can still do these things with purpose and have some sort of success comparative to like what I set out my goals to be.
So I've got an interesting one on this topic. So this happened to me a little while ago where over the years, I've tried like pretty much everything that I can think of on my channel, and I had an idea, or I actually don't even think it was my idea. I think Hatyr might have come up with it because I'm certainly not creative. I don't remember coming up with this idea where I take Shujinko, right, and I spin a wheel. I spin a wheel once, and that's a character I use with Shujinko. I spin the wheel again, and that's a character that I'm fighting against with Shujinko. Called it the Wheel of Shujinko. I thought it was a fantastic idea. I was super excited, had a lot of fun making it, and it bombed. Like from my expectations of the channel, like it just was not received widely.
Like 120 views on one of those videos, right? Like really, really bad.
Really bad, which made me
that's a bomb. Yeah.
Really upset because I loved the idea. I loved like the exploration and being creative in that aspect, but people just, I guess, weren't into it. I think
Do you know why?
There wasn't much.
Did you look into it?
There wasn't much feedback. I can't really tell by the analytics. Like the analytics seemed fine, but like that's just going by who watched it, right? So it's like,
did you talk to anybody about it? Like any friends or anything though that you know would give you like honest feedback?
No, I tend not to do that for whatever
Or was it more
reason.
like it bombed? Fuck, I'm moving on. I'm never trying anything new ever again.
Yeah, well, I think
And this is just me. This is me picking your brain.
Oh, the
As your
call
friend.
out. The call out. No. Yeah.
This
Okay.
is me as your friend picking your brain. What was the result of it?
What do you mean the result of it?
The result? Like, did you just bury it? Did you try it again? Did you make any adjustments? Like, what was the result of the bomb?
I did it.
You did a couple, right?
I did it 4 times, I believe. I did it 4 times and like just tried to, you know, I don't know if I was like, maybe it's just the character's not interesting, you know, but it was, you know, characters that seemed to be somewhat popular at the time. And like, okay, so then maybe I'll just get to it a little bit quicker, you know, and that didn't seem to work. So like I pivoted it a couple different times, but like when the numbers are pretty consistent every time that I'm making this video, and it's too bad because it makes me feel really guilty for the people that do watch that video and do enjoy that content to be like, okay, well,
I think it's a good idea.
Like when I dumped Injustice Tuesday, you know, because I was training for Evo, and which I'm going to be bringing back at one point, but there were a lot of people who were disappointed and like, I really love that series because it's the only people really aren't making that content anymore. So, I will be bringing that back, but it's just things like that.
I'm gonna go back and watch them because I'll be honest. I remember seeing it once and then never clicking on it. I didn't know you made 4.
Yeah,
YouTube didn't show it to me.
Of them.
I have a.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
I have an idea.
Let's hear it.
I think that it could just be elaborated on, right? I don't think that there's many people looking for, and this is not a. I mean, you're a human, right? You can't possibly know all characters, and so the idea was that it lands on a character and you use it with Shujinko. And you could know that character or you couldn't, right? And sometimes it's kind of funny to see somebody like sledging around, like we kind of did a little bit in our set and stuff, but it's like a consistent sort of thing. Like I feel like you'd have to draw it out over like, it'd be almost like a side video that you did over the course of the week. You record the preface like on Monday or whatever, right? And this is the character, but you spend at least like a little bit of time during the week learning the character,
clips.
and then you have like a little climax, right? With like, oh, here's this learned in this cool sequence, and
think
and
that
stuff.
idea is
It's more of a
good.
long con.
Yes, and that's right. But you need to take a good idea like that and do the Mike Trolinsky. Make it a story. And what do stories need? They need character, they need reason, and they need
You need an arc.
climax. You need an arc, and there needs to be stakes. Every story has stakes. What happens if what you're doing doesn't succeed? And you need to get that all out to the audience in the first 30 seconds to a minute. The idea, what are they going to
reasonable
watch?
stakes are?
I would have to, that's where you sit and you brainstorm it and you write stuff out. Yeah, and then you
I'll shave my head if I lose 3 games in a row. Or
I think that type of stakes would be more like if you were a really big live streamer. Right?
I'll show you the email I sent to Manscaped begging them for a partnership.
You could do something. Here's something just by what Dinky does. You could do something like, okay, if this doesn't work out the way I think it's going to work out, or whatever you said as the goal, then the stake or if you're not successful could be, okay, well, I drop Shujinko and make it significant so that people that watch your channel know that it's going to mean something to you and it's going to piss you off. Be like, I dropped Shujinko for 3 months, like he's dead to me, and now I got to go learn an actual difference. Something like that where people that already watch you, your built-in audience, are going to know it means something to you. So it's an actual stake, not like I'll shave my eyebrows or I'll grow them as big as Ed Boon, unless you think your audience is interested in that, and not just your audience, people that have never seen you before as well.
Yeah. So I'm looking actually at these videos now. I was wrong. There's 3 of them, not 4 of them.
And you have to write it out. You have to script it out. Not every single thing you're going to say, the points of what is actually going to happen in the video.
100%. I cannot script things. I have tried before, and I sound way too monotone.
You can script ideas, though, right?
And you
can
bullet
script
points,
events.
bullet point things. Yeah, so I'm like, these are similar to like our agendas for the podcast. I'll just have, I want to talk about this, and that. And that's, and I know myself, I'm able to create and go off the cuff. And sometimes I fuck up and say something, and I'm going to roll with it. Can you believe I just said that? Like, something like that.
I get so distracted so easily, I have to write it down before I say it. Otherwise, I can't say the same thing twice. I just don't even remember what I just said.
Right.
So and I have to script. I feel
what the untapped potential Dink for you is?
What's
I still think
Dark
Dink. I think that's your storytelling vessel. That's like your storytelling.
The narrator.
Yeah, that's a key
he's
to
the
putting out
audience
entertainment. So if you wanted to go
Yeah.
from educational and throw in the entertainment, you build little small stories, and you involve Dark Dink somehow, in some kind of way. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I did a nod to it in our set that Hatyr and I did. Playing a character.
I saw I didn't see all the sets. I just saw some comments. Somebody said roasted.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, okay, Dark Dink was in there.
I played a game as Homelander and Kano, and I tried to only use eye lasers.
That's evil.
It was so.
No, the roasted
bad.
comment was you talking about the making a roast. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Remember that was your little anecdote.
That's right.
See, now I'm interested. Yeah. Now I got to go watch it.
I'm afraid he was telling a story about not trying to overcook his pot roast, and somebody put that timestamp in there and said roasted, and somebody else basically said, use a thermometer, bitch. You don't have to worry about it. Like, why are you all anxious over here?
I was like, that person didn't listen because I literally talk about using a meat thermometer after that. So it was, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
People comment as they listen because you can tell how
they watch, and they listen, 100%.
Yeah, and you can. It's fun to like see people like go through. I'll have like 4 comments from one person. They'll be like, talk about this topic, then another comment about this topic, then another comment about this topic. It's kind of cool to see them kind of.
And they're engaged. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Before we kind of go here, I wanted to give the floor over to Hatyr in case he had anything specific that I know we covered a variety of topics here. today.
the
We
horn,
went
man.
around from Mortal
This was
Kombat.
very- Yeah.
But just to give Hatyr a little bit. I meant to do this a little bit earlier, but the flow of the
No, I
conversation.
feel like I got most of those out. I just wanted to make sure, like, if we need to keep the conversation moving, right? Like, I'll just interject and make sure that I think we had a good organic conversation. It's fine, but I am curious. I mentioned this earlier, but I don't think you gave me an answer, and we were just talking about it. Are you a bullet point person or are you a scripted person?
You
'Cause
did ask,
sound
and it was on my head. It was on top of my mind. I did want to answer you too. I script everything.
all right.
Yeah,
I can tell. All right, because I'm the same way, right?
Yeah, I write it
Like,
all out, and it's. I love that. It makes me feel good that you've made that comment where, because I work hard on it, and it's not that you can go to classes in school to learn that stuff like inflection, where what you enunciate more than other things to make it sound exciting or to drive your point home,
right? Or sound like a question or sound rhetorical,
yes,
or
that is very much just trial and error and doing it and listening and watching my own stuff and being hypercritical about the stuff I make. Because if you go back and we'll take my shorts as example. You go back to my very first ones where I made the list and I talk pretty slow. And you go back to my very first kind of backlog Tater Raider type review videos and I'm very slow, very low energy. And my sons were the first ones that went, it's good, but you need to get up a little bit, like you need to get some damn energy in there. So I started writing it more energetic and more, I started like on purpose being like more like, hey, this is kind of funny when you do this, but if you do this is what happened, like
right. So like for a vocalist, if you're a vocal coach, we would call that over the pencil, right? A healthy speaking voice that's over the pencil, that's being projected out the mouth, right? If you're holding a pencil horizontal in between your teeth and you bit down on it, right? Your voice would be going over the pencil, not under it and muted.
And I think I've
like
heard
whatever.
that, or I've read
it's
about
like
that
when
before,
you're kind of like calling out to somebody across the street, right? You're not yelling, just kind of like a hey instead of a hey, or
and
whatever.
I like it because you can do other stuff with that too. You can start sliding in things like if you think you've got a funny line or something, you can drop your voice and kind of be like innuendo,
right?
Or
it gives you range.
Slide it in there, right? Yeah, exactly. Or then if you want to do something silly where then you can go even higher and kind of just leave it hanging, and then you leave it up to yourself and your edit. What's going to work and what's not going to work as well. Because I pace my stuff very fast. Like I do J cuts and I overlap myself a lot so that it just keeps going. Like, so my videos are only like, I struggle to hit 8 minutes because of how quick my pacing is on my edit. Because once I hit that Tater Raider and I give my rating, and I don't do chapters because of this too, the drop off is massive. So usually my average, I actually have a pretty good average view time at about 40 to 50%.
That's good.
It's really
good.
For what I do, it's really
good.
good. And my first 30 seconds holds an average at about 70%, which is if you want to make good videos, that's where you want to be. First 30 seconds, 70% still watching. And then average above the whole thing, 40 to 50% is really good. 30% is going to be about most people. If it's really bad, it's going to be about 5%. But once that Tater Raider hits, man, it drops. So I started shortening my endings because of it. I would get back to my really quick thing and I'm just trying to like shorten the ending so that the overall average gets even better too, and it's actually working. But yeah, every single
there's no
word,
reason to be butthurt about any of that either, right? Like if you don't like it, you don't like it. I'll cut it out. That's just less work for me, right?
Yeah,
like I'll just make less videos.
People just want, they get to a point and they just want to see, okay, well, what did I think overall?
And it's like,
and then they're gone.
Yeah,
that's okay.
It's like I thought you would care about it. If you don't care about it, then I don't care about letting you know about it or whatever, right? I can talk about like something.
And every
else,
now and then I'll leave in like there's personal stuff that I know will make me and like 3 other people in the world laugh. I'll sneak that stuff in because it's funny to me.
I tend to stay pretty monotone. It is scripted, and you can tell it's scripted. I try not to be too drony or whatever.
It's I don't know what you do to your mic, but there's a warmth there that actually reminds me of old Under the Mayo videos.
Okay, good.
So I don't know if you watch Under the Mayo now. He's still going, and he's funny as hell because there's a whole corner of the internet that hates him, and it's funny as hell.
Like I just try not to sound like a robot, but I'm always talking with my hands. When I'm recording, I always talk with my hands, and it just naturally puts little like rhythmic inflections and things like.
It comes off well.
As far as I go.
I think it comes off well for the style the style of your video and the content itself too. I think it's good.
You know, every once in a while you like make a deadpan joke or something. It's a lot of payoff. It's a lot of work for like a little just payoff.
I love that type of stuff though. That's the type of stuff I live for. And I love when I hear it, I love it. I love little things like that.
I like the bloopers you put in at the end of your videos. They're very
funny. Some people like them, right? So, you know, and you know what's funny about the bloopers? I like them, but as I got better making videos, I had less and less bloopers. As I got better reading my own scripts and adjusting on the fly as I would record. So now I'll write a loose script from notes that I make while I play the game. Then I'll write a loose script and I'll go over it 4 times now and rewrite and you know, move things around, what works where. And then I'll record it. I only record it once. So I don't go back and I don't insert things and I don't like it's ready. By the time I'm ready to record, it's like that's the way it's going to be.
That's pretty much what I do too.
How much video time would you say translates from one page of your script?
I write my scripts on Notepad.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't even know how to like. I don't know how to go that by page.
Man, I have to format mine and I have to be able to adjust on the fly and like.
I mean,
is it a little paragraph or is it a big paragraph?
So I record and there's not a lot of downtime to what I'm saying, and I do about for a 5 to 6 minute video. That's after the edit, after everything, and a tight edit, and it's done. It's about 15 minutes of lines.
Okay.
So if I have a video where I've recorded and the raw recording is 12 to 15 minutes, I know my video is going to be about 5 to 7. So it cuts it in half. About. The edits cuts it in half. But there's like very little downtime between my lines. That's how much I tighten up.
But it's not so rapid fire that I feel like I'm getting motion sickness, right? And that's my problem with a lot of this stuff. Even with your edits, like you take the like, you know, a little bit of a zoom in when you're emphasizing something or like whatever.
And that is very purposeful too. Yep.
Yeah.
And I tried to get away from, because there is like the first 30 seconds I used to think, man, I got to put little graphics in and words and all this stuff to grab people's attention. And then I started thinking the viewer that needs that to keep watching, I don't know if I really want that to be my audience.
But it's like, get to the point. I'm so mad when it's something I really, really want to watch, right? I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And it's like, it is literally like 3 minutes and 10 seconds into your video and you still have not even gotten to the point.
That's a bad video to me.
Then you have the audacity to say like, now I'm not here to waste your time. Let's just jump right into it. I was like, motherfucker, it's been like 3 minutes.
I can't stand that shit. I can't stand when it wastes your time like that. And it's done so purposefully to drag you along. And then they put out a video. So 8 minutes for anybody that doesn't know, and this is getting a little long for podcasts, and I'm sorry guys, but I love imparting everything that I know anytime I get the chance to anybody that'll listen. 8 minutes gives you pre-rolls. So if you find a YouTuber that you liked 1 or 2 of their things, but then you start finding those videos where they drag you along, and really they could have gotten the video done in about 2 to 3 minutes, but it's 8 minutes and 5 seconds. They did that purposely for the pre-roll ad, the mid-roll. It's not a damn stream. Mid-roll ad revenue. Yeah. And you can't put mid-rolls in until you hit 8 minutes.
That was one thing that I remember one of my coworkers was just blown away when like he was like, man, why does YouTube always put the ad like right before like the crazy part of the video that I really want to see? Like, that's so stupid. And I'm like, well,
they do it on purpose.
That's not necessarily YouTube. That's the creator saying, hey, I'm going to put an ad here. So
when I have an 8 minute video, I have never once placed my mid rolls, and maybe I should, because sometimes they'll put them in bad spots.
I don't put a mid roll unless my video is around the 20-minute mark, or I try not to.
Okay.
And then my goal is usually like every 10 minutes. For the podcast, I switch it to just every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes there's an ad. So
you try to keep the experience as good as you can.
Because I've noticed that like there's people that watch my videos, and I noticed that because one thing, going back to the audience retention, is like I want to see when it says that the average viewer retention is like 7 minutes. I want to go back and see what happens at that 7 minute mark. Why are people leaving there? And like 90% of the time, it's where I put my ad. And that's
really,
that's where I put my ad. They see the ad, like I'm out. So I try.
Mine's where I say mine's always say where armor beats the setup. the dips in my video.
That's funny. So like that's why like when I'm making longer form, I'll put my first ad a little bit later into the video, because I want people to get the content that I'm trying to put out before that ad hits. So.
And listen, and lots of people, and one thing you should, if depending on how, if you decide to make more, you really, if you're out there and you're listening and you're like, man, I don't want to get into it because I don't want to sound like a sellout if I'm trying to make some money off it too. Don't listen to anybody that says that shit. You're putting in time into something that you have passion about, or you think that you have something valuable to put out there. Even if you know you're getting 100 views, 200 views, 2,000, it doesn't matter. You should be taking this stuff into account because YouTube is there paying you ad revenue. They're paying you money. Get the goddamn money if you can. It's fine. Don't worry about what Joe Blow says on the internet about you being a sellout. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we could save the world if you gave us enough time. So we should probably call her a day here, friends.
I love talking about this stuff. I really need more. I need more sounding board YouTube friends that are like continuously making things with purpose, because it only helps me be better. Like when people are critical of my stuff and they say, "Man, this was kind of stupid," or "You missed this," or "You missed a point," or "You didn't do enough research," I like take that and it only makes my stuff get better. So
I am inspired.
Hater, make more videos. So
yeah,
I can like talk to you.
I'm inspired too. What should I make next? I'll make my character video as soon as we get to the next patch. That's my
you know
my tentative timeline. Right, I need a patch.
Do we know when the
before I
next
make
patch
anything.
is coming?
No idea.
No idea. I'm assuming that I have no idea.
You know what I saw? And you guys were talking, I don't know if it was the last podcast, you guys were talking about the honeymoon phase being done, the new characters, and we don't see Noob much, but we still see a little bit of Cyrax. I saw some Cyrax Frost stuff that I thought was awesome and super interesting and fun with the wall and the bombs. That was much more than hit him once and get the goop on him and then get a bunch of fucking bombs down. It was so cool. I love that stuff. So if you're ever bored or anybody out there, I'll watch Cyrax Frost stuff.
Dude, and Noob's back too, right? He kind of like dipped, and everyone was like, "Where's Noob?" But now he's all over the place again, and everyone's complaining about him. Everyone thought it was bad, and then they're like, "Oh no, wait, he's actually really good."
Yeah.
So as we're sitting here, I'm hitting send on a comment on Hatyr's video, saying, "Very cool video, Hatyr. Can't wait for the next one." So there's some more inspiration for you.
Nice.
You always say that I'm on videos.
I know, because it's always when you're like, yeah, you know, like I just don't know what to make a video about, and you haven't made a video in a while.
So few videos, man. I don't watch the full thing of much video, but like when I watch your videos, I watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I haven't even made a real Natara one. Like it's just kind of like as I was like learning her, but now that I actually know what I'm doing, I haven't even done it. But I'm just too afraid of something.
And you
like
talked
changing.
about it though in the video, I think.
Yeah.
Or you talked about it somewhere, and I was like, that's why I put the comment. Make another damn Natara video.
Can't wait for the next one, Hatyr.
Probably. Oh, I'm glad I waited. You know, I scripted it, I recorded it, and never released it. I have all the clips and everything of what if I wanted a projectile with Natara, and it was like featuring Serena and Sonya instead of like Frost and Sub-Zero like the other one. But I'm so glad I didn't, because that changed to Sonya. That is so good for Natara. Like, and then that would have been like, so again, right? And there's
and I was messing with,
you know, you put all your effort into that.
Interesting.
You know, some of that information would like be relevant, right? But no chance to talk about the new dive kick. Maybe we'll do that.
Kick. That'd be good. I'd watch it.
So keep an eye out for a new video from Hatyr. And
with purpose.
With purpose.
With purpose.
And Jimmy putting out videos all the time. Do you have a schedule, Jimmy, or you just kind of put them out as you?
Every Saturday morning is a backlog video, and I haven't made a short in a long time because I was kind of over them, and now I have a list of 35 shorts that I'm going to be making. And then
let's go.
And then, because they're 3 minutes, you can do 3 minutes now.
You can.
And then I'm going to do compilation long form where I put all the shorts together and just really sell out and go for that bag.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like to see my friends succeed, so I'm going for it.
I'm actually excited. I'm excited about it. I got some funny ideas for some stuff.
So check out JimmyPotatoTV. I'll have a link in the description down below. Check out Hatyr. I'll have a link in the description down below. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening and keeping this podcast going for as long as it has. We ain't going anywhere. We got more big plans coming up for the next 6 months, and we'll have another big celebration when we get to a year. So that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, and hashtag Bonehawks and all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks. the next video.
Accept your death.